Hey gang, Jeffrey Munson here. We're going to take a look at Del Mar's Friday card, August 16th. Pretty competitive card. I think if you can get the right singles home, there's some money to be made. I'm going to focus, first of all, on the pick 5, the low takeout pick 5. In the first race, the big favorite is going to be the bottom horse, Mike Mitchell's Salah Champ. Wouldn't argue if he won. However, he ran really well off of a fairly long break, and something tells me that this is not the place you want to single. These are tough races to decipher, these condition claimers. My and I's ran every bit as good as Salah Champ did, and they come out of the same race, and I wouldn't blink an eye if either one of those horses won. But I think I'm going to use a total of 4 horses. I'm going to definitely include Hustle and New, first off the claim for Doug O'Neill, but also Hey Yup. This is my upset. Comes from a low-profile barn, Humberto Luna. He wins races, though. He's won 10 races this year. He's been around for 5-6 years at least. And I think this horse is going to get overlooked. He comes out of a Santa Rosa turf sprint where he got absolutely left at the start. His race at Del Mar on July 21st was much better than it looks. He dug in pretty game down on the inside. The whole world came to him, and he was fighting to the end. I think just due to the price, he's going to be 6 or 8 to 1. Hey, yup, absolute must-use in the opener. Let's move on to the second race. Second race on the card is a 5-furlong turf sprint. Speed been doing so well in these things, but there really doesn't appear to be a ton of speed in here. Field Report is going to take a lot of money. I think you've got to find races not only where you like a horse, but where you're willing to take a stand against a horse that's going to take money, and I think Field Report fits that bill. Not that he can't win. I just think you have to let these kind of horses beat you. He's got 6 second-place finishes. He always runs just well enough to take a bunch of money next time out, and his last race was okay, but somebody's going to beat him, and I think I've got 2 horses, both of which are going to be at decent prices. Old Man Lake is one. He's going to be 6 or 8 to 1. Again, not a ton of speed in here, but this guy used to have some tactical speed. Maybe he'll show some with Edwin Maldonado, who's done very, very well for this barn. Adam Kitchingman had a huge Hollywood and doing okay at Del Mar as well. The other horse I'd look at is Ballard Ruler. He's probably going to get bet. He got bet last time, got stumbled really badly at the start, got in behind horses on a track that was really favoring speed. Passing game was, I think, 36 to 1 and went wire to wire. And Ballard Ruler really had no chance. And that was his comeback, so he figures to run a lot better. Not too sure about the also eligibles, who's going to get in, who isn't. Great Friends Rule is going to be on a lot of tickets only because he's probably the only speed, especially if none of the alsos get in. Great Friends Rule, drawn outside, but I think Kevin Krieger going to send him, and if he does, Great Friends Rule might be tough on the front end. But I think I have to take a stand somewhere because this pick 5 gets expensive if you don't. Ballard Ruler is 1, and then Old Man Lake. All right, we're back with the third race, a state-bred maiden 50 for 2-year-old fillies. Bottom horse, Yodel Up a Storm, trained by John Sadler, comes out of a very, very good debut. It was an open 50. These are Cowbreds. I think this is a sizable drop in class, and John Sadler has done this on many times in the past. You claim her for 50, run them back for the same tag, at Del Mar, mind you, where the purses are fat. So Yodel Up a Storm, probably going to be on a whole bunch of tickets, but I think if you single here, there's a little bit of an advantage because other fillies have shown some ability in here, but they're all closers. Sweet Lips Pooh, Beth's My Babe, both going to be coming from off the pace, and there's just not a lot of that in here. I think the bottom horse clears and is gone. Yodel Up a Storm, short price, but I think other people will be spreading, so there is some value there. Let's go on to the fourth race. We're back with the fourth race, a flat mile on the synthetic. This looks like a competitive race on paper, but I think there's some value here. I'm going to narrow it down to just 2 horses. I like the John Sadler trainee, Rosie's Ready. Comes out of a very live sprint. Tayrona came out here the other day and won at a nice price. Was up close to the pace, which was very hot. 22 and 2, 45 and 2, and a Hollywood turf sprint is actually very, very fast. They clock it from a standing start. Rosie's Ready was up close. Figures to make the lead or be right on the pace with the other horse that we're going to talk about, the Bob Baffert trainee, Humor Me. She got left at the start. July 21st when speed was deadly, really had no chance, probably needed the race anyways, and they stretch out from the sprint to the route, and Humor Me going to be well bet, but I don't think they can get too dogmatic here. There's a lot of horses that you could use, and I think just by using these 2, you give yourself a bit of an edge. So we'll go Rosie's Ready and Humor Me with the edge to actually Rosie's Ready, who's going to be the much better price. Move on to the 5th and final leg of the pick 5. This is a Cowbred mile route on the synthetic, wide open event. I think you've got to look at quite a few horses in here if you can leave yourself enough leeway by singling earlier. Maybe you can use quite a few in here. An interesting horse to me, though, is Bobo. The rail, Mike Smith, they take the blinkers off. Something tells me they're going to try to grab this horse a little bit and see if they can get him to finish like he did in his maiden breaker at Santa Anita. He was completely overmatched in his last 2 turf starts. He gets back to the synthetic. Looks like he's worked pretty well over this Del Mar surface. And again, you get the Hall of Famer Mike Smith in the saddle. Not to say you can single there, but Bobo going to be a nice price and is a must-use in my book. There's a lot of speed in this race. You've got a horse like Chicks Dig the Shark coming out of a couple of sprints, and Bill Spar telling you, screaming at you that he likes this horse, running him for 20 and then 22.5. Now they're going to run an allowance race against Cowbreds. Some people even consider this a drop in class. China Prince would be a horse I consider tossing out, but they do add blinkers. He hasn't been out. There's no way of knowing whether he's ready to go or not. But in a spread race, maybe you consider using a horse like China Prince. Romance's Sosa, very interesting. Cheap horse, sharp horse. Jerry Hollendorfer trains, and it wasn't that long ago that he was battling horses like Aloha Mr. Hand up north. $3,200 claimer. Now he's running in an allowance race and has been competitive against some pretty good horses. So I just don't see how you throw out a horse like this just because he's a little cheap. Get Rafael Bejarano. I don't know, really couldn't tell you what price he's going to be. 3, 4 to 1 maybe, but in a spread race, I think you have to use him. Sizzlin' Joe is an interesting horse if they melt down. There is a lot of speed in here. This thing is everything right. But at the right price, you consider throwing in a horse like that if you think there's going to be a pace meltdown. Brown Boss would be a horse I'd consider tossing out. He's got some speed, but there's a bunch of that in here. Chim's No Preacher comes out of a sprint where he freaked. And then even the outside horse, Awesome Indy. Joe Steiner's hand is kind of forced. He's drawn outside. He's probably got one way to go. But you just never know when they're going to take one of these speed horses back and try to finish with them, like Bobo at a price. But all in all, I think this is a spread race, and use as many as you can afford to, knowing full well that just by doing that, you're giving yourself an advantage by spreading in a race where other people are going to be singling or doubling or even using a couple 3. Good luck.